The Dallas Cowboys cannot lose to the Bucs. Just can't happen. Dak Prescott and the boys were dreadful, pathetic, embarrassing in their Week 18 loss in Washington. If you're a Cowboy fan, how you feeling about Dak right now? Because Dak Prescott has been a double agent. You look at the interceptions over the last 7 games, no one has turned it over more via the air than Dak Prescott in the last 7 games in the NFL season. Dak Prescott has been inept. And I love Dak Prescott, but I just got to call it like it is. That game for Dallas in Washington against Sam Howell and the Commanders was a disaster. Look at Dak Prescott's completion percentage. 37.8. 37.8. Choose your nugget of futility. This was supposed to be the tune-up. Fewest points scored since week 1. Had 10 3-and-outs and punts. Hey, Mike McCarthy. All the Sean Payton conversation. I love Mike McCarthy. He's won 12 games back-to-back years. I'm a big Mike McCarthy fan. Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys should be able to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 27-17 on Monday night. They're going to have to do better on offense than they did week 1 against Tampa Bay. Then you start thinking about Tom Brady, 7-0 in his career against the Dallas Cowboys. Then you start thinking about Micah Parsons, hasn't made a play in the last 6 weeks. Dan Quinn's defense, not the same. Tony Pollard doesn't have the same zip O-line. It's not the same. Zeke, shell of his former self. You have CeeDee Lamb, who's a star, not really anyone else you trust at the wide receiver position. With all that said, as bad as everything was on Sunday, and it was gross, worst performance of the year, bar none, for the Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy, this team needs to win. There's no excuse. The Buccaneers are terrible. I get it. Tom Brady's Tom Brady, greatest of all time. The Bucs have no line. The Bucs have no defense. The Bucs have a terrible head coach. In fact, I'm going to take a step further. It's not just about beating the Buccaneers. They just won the worst division in the history in the National Football League, the Bucs did. The Dallas Cowboys, throughout the vast majority of the season, we talked about them in the same category and conversation as San Francisco and Philadelphia as a team that could win the NFC. I don't feel that way right now. They need to go out and dominate. They need to make a Super Bowl run. It's only everything for Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys. Tua Tagovailoa is out for Sunday's playoff matchup against the Buffalo Bills as Miami is now preparing Skylar Thompson to get the starts on CBS in Buffalo. First and foremost, I feel terrible for Tua. Tua Tagovailoa was having an excellent year. Tua Tagovailoa has been concussed multiple times. When we're talking about the head and we're talking about the brain, obviously he should not be playing. And obviously Miami cannot function without him. I mean, the numbers, the feel, I mean, it's a totally different team. Miami doesn't have a prayer of winning with this guy. Skylar Thompson on the road in Buffalo with that crowd going up against the Buffalo Bills. You have to outscore Josh Allen. Congrats to Buffalo on beating Miami. There's also a bigger picture here, and I love Tua Tagovailoa. That's well documented on Time to Schein. This is one of those big picture where Miami's going to have to think about what's next at the quarterback position, whether that's finding a much better backup, whether that's saying goodbye to Tua, whether that's signing Tom Brady or going out and getting Derek Carr or Jimmy Garoppolo, who knows the Mike McDaniel offense. I just feel terrible for Tua Tagovailoa. Mahomes led the league in passing yards and total touchdowns this season. This after, of course, in the offseason, losing his number 1 wide receiver, Tyreek Hill. And for those reasons, I am officially voting. I cast my vote at noon Eastern time today. I'm one of the 50 voters, and these are my choices. My vote for MVP is Patrick Mahomes. This year, finally, the AP lets us have a list. Josh Allen's my 2, Joe Burrow is my 3, Jalen Hurts is my 4, Justin Herbert rounds out my choices. But when it comes to who's number 1, there was only one choice. It's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, what he did for this team without Tyreek Hill, with a shaky group of wide receivers, with a group of running backs who really you don't know who's going to show up week in, week out, with a defense that's hit or miss, Patrick Mahomes was dominant, dreamy, outstanding, and never, ever, ever make this ordinary. Don't LeBron him, where you say, oh, he's won it in the past, or this is what's expected. Listen, this offense is Patrick Mahomes. I don't believe in the Chiefs. I don't. I think Cincy's better. I think the Bills are better. I think San Francisco's better. But because of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, this team was able to get the 1 seed. Because of Patrick Mahomes, their upside is to go win another Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is valuable. Patrick Mahomes is sensational. It's Patrick Mahomes' world, and we're just living in it. And he should absolutely be your 2022 NFL MVP. Welcome back, Times to Shine. Got some midweek musings for you on a Wednesday. And after hearing Lions GM Brad Holmes, the vote of confidence in my guy Jared Goff, which I love, I'm telling you, Jared Goff should lead the Lions to the playoffs next year. In fact, as the Lions continue to improve, I think Jared Goff is going to lead the Lions to a division title next year. I wish Goff and the Lions were in the playoffs now. Nobody wants to watch the Seattle Seahawks. Jared Goff got one of my votes for a comeback player of the year. He was number 3 on my list. Jared Goff was the second best NFC quarterback this year. I would put it Jalen Hurts number 1, Jared Goff number 2. I voted Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, number 3 on my list for the assistant coach of the year. The Lions offense, humming. Absolutely on fire. Goff showed he can win and play outdoors. Love that. Remember Jamison Williams from Alabama, who made some plays down the stretch of the season. He was barely healthy this year, coming off of that injury he had at the end of his college career. Amon-Ra St. Brown with DeAndre Swift and Jamison Williams and Jamal Williams. They're going to have weapons. Aiden Hutchinson in this defense. I'm telling you, look out for the Lions and my guy Jared Goff, who has proven he is a legit big-time quarterback and part of the fabric of the Detroit Lions. Let's take a wide view of the quarterbacks in the NFC postseason. It gave me this thought. The inexperience of the quarterbacks in the NFC is going to be fascinating to watch. I mean, just take a look at this. Tom Brady's Tom Brady, right? He is the NFL postseason. The Bucs stink. Tampa Bay should not even be in the playoffs. They're going to lose in the first round, as we talked about earlier. I mean, Kirk Cousins, you trust him? Dak Prescott? Jalen Hurts? I mean, I went to sleep during their wild card game last year, and he's not 100%. Brock Purdy was literally the last pick in the draft. And again, I don't think that's going to be a factor in terms of playoff pressure, but it's at least a major topic for discussion. Prescott threw 3 interceptions as we were having the Lions conversation. Daniel Jones has been tough and clutch this year. He's also Daniel Jones making his first playoff start. Geno Smith got my vote for comeback player of the year. He's still Geno Smith. I mean, think about some of these names here. I mean, think about the commentary from me in August about Geno Smith and Daniel Jones. If we were doing a list on Time to Shine with those names on it in January, I would have said, well, who's no longer in the league? Instead, it's Daniel Jones and Geno Smith in the postseason. During the draft, we spent 0 minutes and 0 seconds on Brock Purdy. He's now officially the quarterback I trust the most in the NFC this postseason. Wow, this is going to be spicy. Welcome back, Time to Shine. Needless to say, Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars out of the postseason with a ton of confidence. I'm obsessed with Trevor Lawrence. I'm obsessed with Doug Peterson. I told you guys before the season, when they signed him, that Christian Kirk was going to be worth every single penny. A lot of people ripped me for that. Christian Kirk had 6 catches, 99 yards in the victory that you see right here over the Tennessee Titans. And Lawrence needed somebody like Christian Kirk, needed Evan Ingram, needed Zay Jones. He turned Zay Jones into Jerry Rice. Look at these numbers for Trevor Lawrence down the stretch of the season. 15-2 for a touchdown to interception ratio, completing 70% of his passes. The confidence level for Trevor Lawrence, playing like the former number 1 pick in the draft, the dreamy prospect that he was. Listen, this is what we expected from the jump. Urban Meyer destroyed him. Doug Peterson fixed him. And it is a joy watching Trevor Lawrence. And look, I think Justin Herbert versus Trevor Lawrence is going to be as dreamy a quarterback matchup as we have on Wild Card Weekend. The Chargers are favored. The Chargers are better. But with Trevor Lawrence at home and those aforementioned weapons, the confidence, and Doug Peterson, yeah, the Jags' confidence gives them a chance. Needless to say, I'm obsessed with Joe Burrow's confidence and swagger. I mean, we talked about the confidence and swagger with Trevor Lawrence. Joe Burrow takes it to a totally different level. I mean, I genuinely applauded when I heard that soundbite after the game on Sunday. But that's part of the deal here. Joe Burrow is a star. Top 3 on my list, number 3 on my list for the MVP, as you saw earlier in the show. Bengals are piping hot. Burrow, fantastic. Receivers stepping up. Luan Marulo's defense has been unbelievable, and the swagger permeates. I mean, when they talked about a coin flip if Baltimore won the game to see where the Wild Card Weekend game was going to be played, and then Joe Mixon scored a touchdown and celebrated by flipping a coin and then saying, "Get the hell out of here." I mean, that's awesome. By the way, the one on this list in terms of the one loss, remember, that was at the gun earlier this year when Joe Burrow wasn't even 100% healthy on a Sunday night in Baltimore and Tucker hit that field goal. Cincinnati's on fire, and I don't give the Baltimore Ravens a chance. Lamar, no Lamar, it doesn't matter. Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Zach Taylor, Jamar Chase, this team is absolutely locked in. And I can't wait to see them destroy the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday night. Joe Burrow is next level. Needless to say, the NFC should be petrified of the 49ers. San Francisco is my pick to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And here's the deal when it comes to Brock Purdy. He's not a game manager. Nobody likes to talk about it, but he's 5-0. And remember, he doesn't get credit for the win, but played in that victory when he took over 8 plays in for Jimmy Garoppolo. He's completing 68% of his passes. The touchdown to interception ratio is dynamite. He's not just dumping it off to Christian McCaffrey. He's slinging it downfield to Brandon Ayuk. He's utilizing Deebo Samuel and to Christian McCaffrey. And he's got a defense. And when you have Nick Bosa, who got my vote today for the Defensive Player of the Year, and you have Warner and Greenlaw, these unbelievable linebackers, and DeMeco Ryans' defense, Brock Purdy can take a breath. I mean, I don't think playoff pressure exists for Brock Purdy. He's got the best left tackle in the NFL. He has Kyle Shanahan, gobs of talent around him, and Brock Purdy is fantastic. He's better than Garoppolo or Lance were at any point this season. He's better than Jimmy G was last year when San Francisco went to Championship Sunday. Can I see Brock Purdy hoisting the Lombardi Trophy at the end of the season? Oh, I can. Kevin O'Connell is going to have his team laser focused. Look, I voted Kevin O'Connell for Coach of the Year in the NFL. He's playing Brian Daboll. He was my number 2. Kyle Shanahan was my number 3. But what O'Connell's done, maximizing Kirk Cousins, has been brilliant. And look, we don't have to have an educated guess. Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, what they're going to do against the Giants. We saw it. And it was absolutely outstanding. And, yeah, I mean, look at Cousins. Didn't throw an interception. Threw for basically 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. And the Giants cannot contain Justin Jefferson. Now, I get it. And we've talked about it. Vikings house of cards. Truth be told, they're not that good, which is why I voted O'Connell for the Coach of the Year. But that 11-0 in one-score games, listen, the point differential, I think that's all a positive for this matchup against the Giants. Brian Daboll is going to have his team locked in. That Giants-Vikings game in Week 16, it was a bomb kick by Joseph and Minnesota at the end to win it. So the Giants and Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley and Wink Martindale's defense will enter with a ton of confidence, but O'Connell will keep that laser focus. And I expect Kirk Cousins to play well. It's not a night game, it's an afternoon game. And listen, I don't think Minnesota's going anywhere after Wild Card Weekend. Can they beat the Giants in the first round of the playoffs in a competitive one-score game like the formula they've been using all year long? Huh. Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell for more videos.